This year, Cooper Flagg was touted as a generational talent going into draft night. But early into the season, the Mavericks have struggled, and Flagg has been the primary ball handler for the team. At the same time, a bunch of other rookies are stepping into big roles across the league. So Matt and I wanted to take a look back at some of the best draft classes in NBA history and see where this year's group might stack up. Let's dive in. All right, welcome back. The NBA season is a little over a week in, and me and Matt were just talking about how it's been a little bit of a weird season. It's maybe not how we expected. No LeBron for the first time in, I don't know, what feels like 100 years, but is actually still a ridiculous number at like 20 something.
Yeah.
And so anyways, with the new season brings new players. And there's been a lot of talk about the 2025 NBA rookie class. And some of the players that have come in with them, Dylan Harper, most notably Cooper Flagg. And so anyways, we wanted to discuss some of those players and what they've been doing and sort of look back at some of the previous drafts that have gone down as very notable, almost the best. So I want to start out, I'll go through ones that I picked out as sort of the most exciting from history. So in 1984, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Stockton, Hakeem, and Oscar Schmidt, whose name I hadn't heard, but those all came from the same draft class.
I did not know Hakeem was drafted in the same as Michael Jordan. That is crazy.
Yeah.
No way.
So that's like initially a huge one. We were like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, he totally was. I mean, I knew MJ didn't go first, but I just didn't put it together. That was the same one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next one, 1996. Allen Iverson, Kobe, Ray Allen, Steve Nash.
Yeah, that one stands out, especially because Kobe went so late. Like it was like,
yeah,
it was, you know, I think he went 11th or something, and I think he went to Charlotte and got traded on draft night or something. So there's like kind of the weird story with that, and I remember AI being a part of it.
Yeah. So keep moving. The next one, which is arguably like what is probably discussed as the best draft class, happened in 2003, where we had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, David West, Kyle Korver, Hinrich, who was a center for the Bulls, Kendrick Perkins. He was also in that draft class. And that one, understandably, goes down as maybe the best. Mainly, I mean, having Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron, who were sort of the three guys for a lot of those 2000s, those mid-2000s, was huge. And so anyways, because of that, I think 2003 is almost unanimously described as the best draft class.
I think you missed the second pick as well. Darko Milicic. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Famously a bust. Which, shameless plug, I do have a video about draft busts on the Matt Cole Sports channel. But, I was looking back at 2003 because I knew we were going to do some historical, and this is, like you said, a very famous one. Very international draft. I know that we talk nowadays a lot about like the international players are taking over the NBA. And I think that's true with the stars. I mean, the best players right now, especially with the Tatum injury, are basically all, I think Cade and Ant are like the two American guys who like are the stars right now. And they're way way eclipsed by Jokic, Luka, SGA's Canadian, and Giannis. And anyway, all that said, in my head, as you know, obviously I'm young, I wasn't really that conscious for the 2003 draft. I kind of thought that meant all the draft class would have been very American too, just because the stars were American. But like going down the list here, it's like it's very international, which is notable. I don't know.
Yeah, ahead of its time, you could say.
Ahead of its time.
Because now, man, it feels like, gosh, this is a theme we're seeing in most American sports. It feels like baseball, very notably with Shohei, but even. I'm trying to think of who's the best NFL player that's an international player? Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's a weird one.
Yeah, that is a weird one.
I'm sure there is a player who's from
Canada. It was probably an easy pick. But anyways, nonetheless, it does feel like, specifically in the NBA, we are seeing a turning of the tides from, the Americans. Specifically, I mean, LeBron James is reaching the end, which has been said for a long time, but it really does feel like, he has sciatica, which like my dad had, and he's 60 something.
Yeah, that's bad news. I've not had it, but it does seem like bad news. Is your dad, what's his sciatica status? He's still rolling with it, or?
I think it's probably like a chronic thing. Is the way I would describe it. It's one of those things you just kind of survive with, unless you're an NFL player that or an NBA player that, but I don't know if he had surgery on it or not. Yeah.
Well, he's at least, your dad's still traveling, a good, he's still mobile.
Yeah, he gets around for sure. Yeah.
But he doesn't dunk, I guess maybe is the point.
Hasn't dunked in a while now. Okay, let's get back on topic a little bit. So, so like I said, that was the 2003 class. The next big one was 2009, which had Steph Curry, Blake Griffin, James Harden, DeRozan, Rubio, and Drew Holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was another big one. And I think mainly, especially, if Blake Griffin had a longer career, it really would have gone down as like a historic draft. It still did. But yeah, Steph Curry and James Harden alone makes that pretty remarkable.
No, exactly. I think Blake Griffin I think it's nice when there's a draft class. Not nice is a bad word, but the narrative really helps when the draft class, the first pick instantly kind of becomes good. And Blake Griffin he didn't play that season. He played the next season. But he was rookie year immediately. LeBron was also rookie of the year. I don't know if they gave out that for when Hakeem was first pick, but he obviously was instantly impactful. It helps with the narrative of remembering the draft when the first pick, the face of the draft, is really good instantly. And this was definitely, Blake Griffin was absolutely that. He didn't have as long of a career, but his first few years was one of the most exciting players in the league.
Dude, crazy. Yeah. Okay, last one I want to reference is very recent, 2021. And this one had Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Barnes, Sengun, Jalen Green, Franz Wagner, Jalen Johnson, Cam Thomas, Josh Giddey, Kispert, and Keon Johnson. Those are all the most notable players. There's a few others that I didn't list, but I think those are the biggest names that have still, even 4 years later, are still really notable names here.
No, absolutely. I remember. So this was my senior year, or 2021. I graduated. So I graduated in May. Sadly, got passed over for the draft, of course. And then. But no, that was also the year that Baylor won the championship. I went to Baylor, so it was a cool year. Got to see the team win in 2021, and this was before I was super dialed on the NBA, and I couldn't really understand why some of the Baylor guys weren't going higher. It was hard for me. I was they just won the championship. This is the best college team, and Davion Mitchell, I think, was the highest drafted player, somewhere in the 10s, and he is honestly super solid. I think he's with the Heat right now and is a great minutes player. Not a star, but he fills out the minutes. And this was just one of those really interesting things where I started looking into, because probably our best scorer, at least that year, was Jared Butler, who is still in the league and has had a decently enough career. He's on NBA rosters, but he was, went from the best scorer on the best college team to on the bench kind of guy. And that was one of the first things I started looking into, what is the differences between the NBA and college basketball, and what are the things that kind of take someone to the next level. And I remember being I don't really understand why Cade is the first pick. And now here we are. Cade is a full-fledged star. He put up a 30-point double-double last night. He is impactful on both sides of the ball. He is just a stud. And I wouldn't call myself at all a good analyst of that yet, but it just kind of was one of the things that got me thinking about what makes someone good in the NBA.
Yeah, this crazy shout to Jared Butler, man. I kind of forgot that was during the Baylor, when Baylor was super good.
Mm-hmm. We had a few years in a row where we were top seeds. Had a class with him, did a group project with Jared. He's a cool guy.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, so gone through, we've looked at some of the past ones. We kind of see that certain years, there's some players that are generational within the same draft class. Having LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony is insane. So before we start, jumping to conclusions about how this draft class is the best ever, first of all, we won't know that for 10 years.
At least, yeah.
But with that being said, there's been a ton of talent that we've seen early, and it's really exciting. And I think it is pretty unique to see players putting up the kind of numbers we've seen, especially through 5 games. And so me and Matt both sort of prepped a few different players we wanted to discuss, each of us, and kind of to talk about some of those players that are making waves early in the season.
Yeah, there's a lot of really exciting guys. I'll go quick with some of the lower drafted guys that haven't fully broken into rosters, but have at least been fulfilling the promises of them where they were drafted, where it's like, hey, this guy's got a lot of potential. You could see him have some scoring flashes, or at least see him being impactful. So the first one is, excuse me, Colin Murray Boyles. He hasn't had a huge scoring explosion like some of the guys above him, but he's been very impactful defensively. Feels like he feels comfortable on an NBA court. He had a few kind of good drives to the rim and stuff, which again, he's not really much of a shooter. I think that will kind of limit some of his ceiling, but I think the biggest compliment, and it sounds kind of trite, but I will offer it to a lot of these guys, is that they already look like an NBA player. And kind of like what I was talking about with the college thing, it's like sometimes these guys get from college to the NBA and they kind of get like shell shocked. And it's like, oh my gosh, things are happening faster. These guys are stronger. They're not responding to the things that I could do in college. And I would say Colin Murray Boyles already looks like an NBA player. I'd say honestly kind of the similar thing for Derek Queen. He's on a tough team situation. The Pelicans have been very slow to start. Have looked a little bit dire, and Derek Queen he kind of occupies a little bit of the similar space as Zion, but he's had some really good passes and had some really good finishes at the rim. So I'm hopeful for him. He has some expectations because the Pelicans traded away their 2026 unprotected first round pick for him, essentially. Mm-hmm. So they clearly have some sort of plan, but that was the second guy. And I have 2 more, but I don't want to keep on talking for too long. So I'm going to pass it to you to do 2 of your guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one I'm going to talk about is probably, I would say, the most exciting team this season. And I'm talking about a few guys from that team. We're both going to talk about a few guys from that team, I imagine. And that's the Spurs. And the Spurs are exciting for a lot of reasons. Probably most notably Wembanyama. And then as far as the rookies go, they have Dylan Harper, and the other guy who's really flown under the radar is Carter Bryant. And unless you're watching like a lot of basketball, this name probably hasn't come up. He's only averaging like 7 minutes a game. But he was drafted 14th out of Arizona. And like I said, I mean, he hasn't seen a ton of time yet, so there's not a lot to say, but he looks super athletic. The few minutes he does have, super athletic. And I will say the little bit I watched him, he didn't play amazing defense, and it felt like, I don't know, he was really just trying to go for like a crazy highlight dunk, and that was sort of like it. It didn't really feel like he was playing a lot of off-ball offense or defense. But nonetheless, I think I'm going to give him a little bit of flowers here because he's on the Spurs and a rookie and has seen playing time, and probably no one is talking about it.
I'll look for, I think the Spurs, a big thing that they are needing is shooting. Well, needing is a strong word. They're 4-0. A big thing that if you looked at their roster on paper, you would say they could need would be shooting. Yeah. And I think if he really matures into an NBA level shooter, which I think he has a promise to, and that was one of the kind of the reasons that he'd get drafted. He's going to be, I think, a huge deal for them. Sure. But yeah, I think so far, I think he's only taken like 5 threes or something already. Like you said, not many minutes, but yeah,
it's tough out here when you're playing with Victor. It's, it's hard for you to get a chance to get the shot up. Although honestly, I mean, they do decent load management with Wemby. Even still, I mean, he's playing more this year, but I mean, nonetheless, it's not like he's putting up. I mean, like Edstrom's been averaging like 40 minutes a game.
Yeah, it's not a Giannis situation where he's just playing so much. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Next guy I wanted to talk about is Cedric Coward, and he's maybe the guy I'm most excited about from the draft, which is kind of crazy. And the reason I have him down here is because you probably haven't heard too much about him. He's 6'5", but he really plays like bigger than that, I would say. He was drafted 11th overall out of Washington State. I had never heard of him when he played in college, not a peep. And he's with the Grizzlies, who honestly I think need help, especially defensively. And without Desmond Bane this season, it feels like he can sort of fill that spot of Desmond Bane. That's like, I think if he does that, if he filled the shoes that Desmond Bane left, that would be an awesome career. Desmond Bane's a phenomenal player. And so that's sort of where I see him, but he's just super physical. He's got a great shot. I guess like player comp.
He's got a great shot.
Yeah. Like it just looks really good. He's quick. He reminds me of Max Strus, I would say. I mean, I watched a lot of Cavs basketball. Max is a big athletic guy, strong, but then every once in a while he'll put like a two-handed slam up and you're like, what? And that's kind of how this feels. And just from like an eye test standpoint, he's looking really good. And he's, like I said, he's averaging 16 points a game. Crazy.
Yeah, he's going already. Like,
he's actively going.
All the guys that we'll probably talk about from here on out, with maybe one exception, are all actively going. Like, they are part of lineups, playing, scoring, fully alive. He shot so well. I mean, he might have been. He's probably on a little bit of a heater. I think he's currently he's currently putting up 65% of his threes, which is not sustainable. But that's okay if it's not sustainable. Getting your confidence under you early is huge. Yeah. I'll keep going on the other two guys that I'm just like excited for. We haven't seen as much of them. First one, Young Hansen. He was one of the more exciting storylines of the NBA draft, just because he kind of came out of nowhere and he was drafted like 16th by Portland, and people thought he was going to be drafted in like the 40s or 50s. And he's in that. It's honestly a fairly new archetype of the passing, really good touch around the rim center, like the Jokic type. It's very tough to put anyone in the Jokic archetype, much less compare them to him. And Young, I think, has only played a few minutes and has honestly had some bad turnovers. Like, I would not say he's looked good so far for Portland, but I think that doesn't take away from all the gifts that are there, and we've seen at least a few flashes of it. And I've seen a few like really nice finishes around the rim. Again, I think he's played like 5 minutes a game. So
well, importantly with him, it's the whole thing is he didn't play like American basketball ever. I think.
Yeah,
he had a professional career in China for a season. I don't even know why I air quoted that. I'm sure Chinese basketball is legit. Ask like Dwight Howard maybe. But yeah, I think that's pretty rare. I mean, you have guys like Wemby that obviously, I mean, make waves internationally. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times, most of the guys that go pretty high in the draft come from, even if they are international players, a lot of times though, nowadays, I mean, they're going to college in the States because that's where, the most competitive ball is played.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, last guy of the kind of lower rotation guys before we get into the big names from the draft is Jeremiah Fears. He played in Oklahoma. He's now at New Orleans. So again, a rougher situation for him. But he is playing, I think, even more than Derek Queen is. He is an undersized kind of guard type with a really nice shot. I think he's 6'2" or something like that. Like he is on an NBA basketball court, a smaller guy. And he doesn't fill the role of kind of like a 3-point specialist who like kind of runs around the court, just gets open. He's actually been like moving the ball up the court, which is always impressive for a rookie because you're seeing defenses faster, bigger than you've ever seen before. Hasn't had too much success, but I think it was against Denver the other night. Had some really nice kind of fadeaway shots that just like look NBA ready. Like he looks like he knows how to score the ball. I'm a little worried about the undersizedness. He's going to have to take some time to figure out all the passing, but the handle's there, and there's a lot of upside when someone has that nice of a shot. And I think if he kind of can get a little more of like get crafty in the paint, get some of the Chris Paul stuff. Still got me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Get some of the Chris Paul stuff going. I could see him having a really good career, but that'd be the last guy that I'd highlight before we get into the kind of bigger names.
Sweet. I'll mention one more, and then I guess we can start off with our big ones. But this is the only reason I'm mentioning this is I think it's pretty notable that Duke had 3 players drafted in the top 10. And the third one was Kamen Maluach, who was drafted. I definitely butchered his name.
I think it's Maluach.
Maluach, yeah, you're right. And he was drafted 10th overall. and he went to the Suns. He was a center for Duke last year. I felt like he didn't. I mean, it's tough when you have Cooper Flagg and they had Con Knuppel on their team, and both of those players were great last season in college. And anyways, but he's 7'1", and the problem for me is, I mean, he really moves like it. And in like today's NBA, when you have the Chets and the Wembys and these guys that somehow glide like they're not 7'1" and have toothpicks for legs, it just really stands out like a sore thumb. It feels like, I can't believe I'm saying that, because it used to stand out so much when you'd see a guy like that moving, like a Chet or a Wemby, but now it almost feels the opposite. When you see a big guy that like is really slow, it's like, oh, okay. And it's different from like a Valanciunas or, you know, like a Shaq or a Dwight Howard, where they're like big and built. When they're like tall, lanky, and then also like frail, it almost seems. It's tricky, but nonetheless, I wanted to reference him, and I feel like, you know, I probably just dogged on a 19-year-old, but we still haven't seen too much of him, to be honest. The one clip I did see, Peyton Watson on the Nuggets, like absolutely posterized him. So that happened, and like after,
you got to welcome him to the NBA at some point.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Peyton Watson will do that too. That he has no regard.
Mean guy. He's a mean
guy. Okay, so I'll go through the two guys, and then I'll pass it to you.
Sweet.
2 of the 3 at least. So the first guy who's been really exciting so far is Trey Johnson. He was drafted to the Wizards. He was drafted to the Wizards, and the Wizards they've been a weird team for a little bit now, honestly. As in, like, are they going to try this year? Are they trying to put together a team? Yes or no, whatever. And this year feels like they've a little bit found an identity as like just throw a bunch of exciting young guys on the court and let them kind of do stuff. I've watched actually a few of their games. I think I watched 2 of their games, and it doesn't really feel like they even have like a distinct offensive identity other than we want to let our young guys like go play basketball. Like there's that whole joke with LaMelo that he like plays with AirPods in. And this is like, it's not that dissimilar to that. Not saying that in a derogatory way. All these guys are extremely exciting, like pure hoopers. And I think Trey Johnson fits into that like exactly. He is playing solid minutes. I think he's averaging like 27 minutes. He's attempting a bunch of shots, which I think is really huge just for getting the confidence. The shooting has been, you know, a little up and down, but he's not turning the ball over a huge amount. And all the things that we kind of like were hoping for when he was drafted, I think he played in Texas, are there. Shot super clean. And if I was a Wizards fan, it's tough being a Wizards fan because it's just like, it feels like you're building for a long time, but this is a really exciting like crew to be working with. Like Trey Johnson just feels like he can score from like literally anywhere with anyone in front of him, which is really cool.
Yeah, I will say, so I think he's a scorer for sure, which is awesome. And I think the Wizards honestly need that. And like you said, they're a young team. I mean, like Alex Sarr is young and he looks great. And then, but they also have, you know, they have Middleton this year, which is crazy. And then they've, it like just looks so off. And CJ McCollum too. So they've got like, you know, old veterans of the league now, which is kind of crazy because I still think of McCollum as being like, you know, gamer, but he's 34. Anyways, but I think that the Wizards need a scorer. If anything, I'm like more hopeful than I've been in a while for the Wizards. I think Corey Kispert's fine. He sometimes puts up a good game. Gosh, I just feel like when they had those years with Kyle Kuzma, that's when things like were so dire, and at least they're past that.
It's true. Hopes aren't resting on a guy who's like talented enough to get a big contract, but not talented enough to actually lead a good team.
Exactly.
Like, they were in a weird limbo, and they are out of it, like you said.
Yeah.
All right. Before I pass it to you, the other guy that's been honestly probably the biggest non-Wemby headlines, at least in my circle of the NBA world, has been about VJ Edgecombe, which sick and bears. He was a Baylor guy. And I think recently the excitement around him has been so reasonable because he's one of those rare draft prospects that not just fulfills everything you are hoping to immediately, but somehow has gotten more skills over the offseason and gotten more confident in everything that he does. He was always a decent spot up shooter in college. Not the shooting wasn't the thing that you drafted him for. You drafted him because he is unbelievably athletic. Like truly in a league full of unbelievable athletes, he jumps out of the screen at you. There was this one play in his first game against the Celtics where he took on an NBA defender and just got past him on the first step basically instantly, and then jumped around and over Jaylen Brown to dunk at the rim. And it was like his third play or his third attempted drive. I'm like, how is that possible? And he's 6'4", like he's not even a huge guy. So he kind of has that athleticism, but the shooting has been crazy. I mean, it's been like unbelievable. He's shooting. He has had a bunch of catch and shoots, but he's also shooting off the dribble and like creating his own shot, which that's something that a lot of these guys don't develop till like year 3, year 4. And he's already there in like game 3. It's just been so awesome. People keep comparing him to MJ because I'm sure the name VJ, gives you a little bit of that. I think we can probably pump the brakes. I think I agree with you. I do agree with you. I don't think I agree with you. But he is probably the biggest, like, oh my gosh, this guy's so much better than we thought he was going to be of this draft class. So really, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, he, I think, has probably been the most exciting player. Like you said, the one thing that's scaring me is they're playing him for 40 minutes a night.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, he's very efficient. Like he's shooting, he's 50% from the field and he's putting up double-digit points every night. And I mean, him and Maxey have been on a tear.
Dude, Maxey, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The best player in the league through 5 games. It's pretty
been
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
And
Philadelphia fans, yeah.
They have it good right now. And he's such a lovable guy. It's like, yeah, it's awesome. Tyrese Maxey's sweet. And even with like everything that's going on with Embiid and him, that's like, we talked about this a little bit in the last episode, the NFL episode, where we were talking about players that play through injuries. And I don't know if that's what we're seeing with Embiid, where it feels like he just should not be playing and there for some reason he is. Like, is that coach pressure, you think? Or do you think that that's like player pressure? Like, I don't know, man. It's weird.
It might be just like legacy pressure at this point. Like this is like a guy who has won the MVP and then his career has basically fallen apart, and some of it his fault, a lot of it not his fault. And I don't know. It's tough. I wouldn't envy being in Joel Embiid's shoes, as big and as talented as they are.
Yeah. Probably like size 25.
Dude, yeah.
Last thing
he's probably got some huge feet. I feel like he's tripping over them all the time.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about international players earlier. VJ Edscombe, this is crazy phrasing, but he's a sneaky international player. He's from the Bahamas. Like you wouldn't expect him because he moved here when he was really young, but he is actually born in the Bahamas. So if he ends up taking over the NBA, he's technically part of the international crowd.
It's true.
And honestly, it's like in the cards at this point when you're 20 years old.
He's already taken over the headlines. Other than Victor Wembanyama, it's been
Okay. I'll take the reins now. So the first Duke player I want to talk about is Con Knuppel, who's been super exciting for the Hornets. And the Hornets are such a fun team in general. We talked about this a little bit earlier with like LaMelo and how the Hornets just, they're one of those teams that you click on every night just to watch because LaMelo will do something crazy. And now they've got this, 20-year-old Con Knuppel who just feels like he kind of does a little bit of everything. Like he's 6'6", but he plays so much shorter than that. Like he's quick on his feet. He moves around well. He's a great shooter. So through the first, I think 4 games, he's averaging 16 points, 4 rebounds and 2 assists on 50% shooting. He's 53% from the 3-point line. Those are a lot of numbers, but he's looking awesome. And that's not even just like limited shooting. He shot 30 3-pointers. He's 16 of 30. From 3.
He's fully a part of the Charlotte team. Yeah.
5 for 11 from 3. I was like, that number is crazy. 16 of 30 from the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, he's tall enough where it's not like he's a total liability on defense. And like to be a pull-up shooter at that sort of height, it kind of reminds me of like Michael Porter Jr., but obviously a little bit smaller. MPJ's a bigger guy, but nonetheless, it feels kind of similar to that style. Maybe even like we talked about Desmond Bane earlier. Knuppel kind of reminds me of him too. Just like really good shooter, physical, really good on his feet.
Because he's a little taller though, he also has a little bit of the float game around the rim. Like he can kind of get up to the basket and get the float up just because he's got a little extra size over someone like a Desmond Bane or something. Like the wingspan, he uses it pretty well, I think.
Yep, definitely. And I think he'll fit into this Hornets team like well. I mean, he already has, but I was thinking about it, and like last season in college, he was like obviously in Cooper Flag's shadow the whole time, despite being a phenomenal basketball player that got drafted fourth overall. Yeah, fourth overall.
Yeah.
And I mean, now he's behind LaMelo, who LaMelo gets all the headlights, all the highlights, all the headlines, is playing in AirPods, as you said. And yeah, so it's just like it's a much different type of basketball. It's not so exciting like some of those players like Flag or LaMelo, but nonetheless, I mean, I think because of that, he did it last season. I think he can sort of fill those shoes of more of a spot up shooter.
Yeah, no, he's a professional basketball player, like you said. He fits right in the NBA.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So next guy I want to talk about, and then we'll each have one more after this, is Ace Bailey. And so he was the 5th pick out of Rutgers, and he went to the Jazz. And so his story, I feel like there was a lot of chatter about him right before the season started. I honestly didn't hear a ton about him in college. And
the Rutgers team was him and Dylan Harper were at Rutgers, and almost no one else. And so I think that I believe they didn't even make March Madness, or if they did, they exited very early, which was weird because two of the top, projected 2 of the top 5 picks were coming from the same team. So it was a weird situation. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, even in college, I mean, as long as you have a reasonable cast around you, like a single player can sometimes pull a team deep.
Sure.
Like Gordon Hayward with Butler, like that was crazy. And it felt like, anyways, he's only averaging 15 minutes a game right now. I think there was some talk about a potential injury with him like early on before the first game of the season. I remember there was some chatter about that. So they're probably just being careful with him. Especially, I don't think the Jazz are planning on making a title run this year. I'm sure if you ask them, they might say differently. But the Jazz don't look great, and they don't have a ton of hope. I love Lauri Markkanen. He's like, I know Lauri Markkanen slander, but he feels like
he dropped 50 the other night. It was cool. Yeah, I think it was the first 50 points since probably Malone.
For the Jazz, yeah,
for the Jazz, yeah, sorry, yeah.
And yeah, so I will say, like, I think that Markkanen's a hopeful point for them, but I mean, you got to have a full team around him. And I think Ace Bailey could be that a couple of years from now, but it still feels like, he just needs to grow a lot. The other rookie I wanted to talk about with the Jazz is Walter Clayton Jr., because he got a lot of buzz at the end of March Madness. I was kind of surprised. I don't know why. Like, this is one of those you're talking about earlier where it's like the analysts clearly know something that we don't. With this one, I mean, it felt kind of obvious that he would go later than, you'd watch him in March Madness. You're like, oh, that's like arguably the best player in March. And then he went 18th overall. And it's like, okay, but he's also 6'2", and he's not Steph Curry, but he honestly kind of looked like him in March. So we'll see what happens with him. I really honestly loved his game when he was with Florida. He's got the right mentality, clearly. So it's just a matter of making sure that they, build him up correctly, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hopeful. It's all, the guys who don't get drafted in their teens and they get drafted when they're like 23 or whatever it is. I'm hopeful for those guys. It's a cool story when they turn into real NBA players. All right, we'll both talk about the top 2 picks real quick and just kind of their projections, and then we'll both do a rookie of the year pick. I got so Dylan Harper for the Spurs. Spurs have been the headline team. They're 4-0 at the time of recording. I think they might be playing right now. But Dylan Harper is a legitimate part of that Spurs team. He is really long on defense, which is the Spurs, one of their biggest identities right now, is just how much of a pain they are to attack, because it feels like they're all so long, even Wemby notwithstanding, they can just always get at the ball. And Dylan Harper is in there. He has good instincts on defense and has already got a few like good steal into layup dunk kind of plays, which those are always hype. They get the crowd hype. But on offense is definitely kind of more, he's a guard, he's a point guard, and he has all the tools. He's made a bunch of really good passes already. And it kind of feels like he's always, with really good point guards, they talk about the game looking slow to them, and they're kind of, they know where everyone is spacing around the court. And I don't know that Dylan Harper has that yet in the NBA, which is totally fine. He's played 4 games, but a lot of the physical skills I think are there. he feels really comfortable with the ball in his hands, and yeah, he's like super in balance when he's driving at the rim. He's not kind of out of control, which is hard because he's a little bit undersized. He's like he's not undersized for a guard. He's 6'4". He's not huge in the guys that he's driving against, but he never feels like he's just like running at the rim and throwing up a shot or throwing up a dunk. Like it always feels kind of like a well-crafted drive. So yeah, looks like an NBA player, and he's on a team. The Spurs are one of the best teams to grow on. They have a great development system. They've developed so many great players in the world, like in NBA history. And I'm just so bullish on Dylan Harper's career. I was on a GOATcast pod recently, which you should check them out. They're on the Field Guide Network. And we did NBA Rookie of the Year picks, and my pick was Dylan Harper. So we did it as a draft, so I would have drafted Cooper Flag if I could. But later down the line, I still got really happy that I got to draft Dylan Harper as my Rookie of the Year pick, because he's going to have a great year and great career.
Did you do that before the season?
Yeah, it was like the day before the season. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because now I'll move into the number one pick from the 2025 NBA draft, who was Cooper Flag, and yes. I would say so here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot to be said about the way the Mavericks are playing, and specifically the way that they're playing Cooper Flag. Most notably, and this has been talked about a good bit, is they sort of have him running the point. Not even sort of. I mean, he brings the ball up the floor.
Yes,
and it's not like it's not like, they're bringing him off the bench. He's their starting point guard. He's playing 32, 33 minutes a night.
In the same season where they signed D'Angelo Russell, just to note, a veteran NBA point guard.
Yeah, which I can't say I blame them too much for not giving D'Lo more time with the ball. Like, he's so hot and cold, so hit or miss, and I kind of understand why they don't trust him. But instead, giving the keys to an 18-year-old, and I understand. I mean, there's so many expectations that come with that, and I am so hesitant to ever say that a team is giving a young star too much responsibility. But it's starting to feel like that, and it feels like if they don't give him some help soon, in terms of just like maybe, I don't know, maybe even bringing him off the bench for a little bit. The problem is, like, the Mavericks are already in a tough spot with injuries. I mean, obviously with Kyrie out, like if they had Kyrie back,
AD just got injured too.
Yep.
Something happened. I don't know. It's AD. He could.
Yeah, it feels like he always has an injury. But honestly, Anthony Davis, he looked good the first couple of games. Like, he was putting up good numbers. He looked great on defense, minus when he had to guard Wemby.
After Wemby stopped him.
Yeah, that is true. But nonetheless, I think part of the issue right now with the Mavericks is that it's the team as a whole. Like, I think Cooper Flag on a lot of other teams, it looks a lot better, and he's putting up a different game, because he shows like moments of like honestly greatness, where it's like, totally. Holy smokes, his movement, he moves so well. He's got insane length. He's somehow like really tall. Like, it blows my mind every time. Like, he lifts up and it feels like his torso is just like really long. He's got such long arms. Anyways, but yeah, like I was saying, I think part of the issue is the Mavericks. I looked it up. He has the lowest plus minus of any rookie. So that's like, on the court, when they're on the court, how is the team doing? What is the score differential? And he's at minus 57 so far through 4 games.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's plus minus is an imperfect stat, and I think this is a good example of it, because it's like you don't want to blame him for, it's not an individual stat, it's a team stat of how they were doing. But I do agree with you, the team construction and what they have done with him has been really poor. I get the experiment, and it's reasonable. He is so clearly talented and driven and young. I think he's like 18 or 19. Like, you can do a lot of experiments with that. I mean, there's famously, they did kind of a similar thing with Giannis, and it's like, well, Giannis is Giannis. So, but yeah, I'm with you that I probably wouldn't do it if I was the coach.
And I think, I mean, Jason Kidd obviously is a baller himself, and I feel like that's part of the issue, is when you're one of the great point guards of all time, like, you have this mindset, you probably put yourself in 18-year-old Cooper Flag's shoes, and you're like, well, I want to get the ball as much as possible. I want them to give me all of the responsibility. I think that's part of it, is like, from a coach's standpoint, being a player himself, it's a little bit tough.
He's living vicariously.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think also, if D'Angelo Russell was playing good, that would probably help a ton. But they haven't really been playing him that much, and he's been shooting awful.
Yeah.
if Anthony Davis wasn't hurt, that would help them a lot. I think, like you were saying, I mean, that's going to be tough if AD's hurt, and then Kyrie being hurt is another big one, and the last one is Klay Thompson, who is old, and I mean, dude, I saw it's just there's been a lot of memes online about him just being washed, and like
he's fully washed. It's sad.
Yeah, it really is sad because I mean, what an awesome career, but at the same time, it's like give the kid some help.
Yeah. I would be lying if I said I was rooting for the Mavericks to have good karma after the Luka thing, and also as a former Houston resident. But I am rooting for a lot of the players on the Mavericks, Cooper Flag being one of them. So to get into Rookie of the Year picks real quick, and then we can wrap it up. Cooper Flag is still going to be my actual Rookie of the Year pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trust the process. It's a long season.
It's trusting the process. It's exactly all it is. It's a long season, and I do believe in his talent above anybody else's, and just his giftings. And, even with AD out, if Cooper Flag like steps up to fill some of the defensive holes that AD will be leaving, if he's spending significant time out, I think that'll be huge for the case. And, I would like to pick VJ Edgecombe. I think that's more exciting of a pick and everything. But, if I was putting money on it, I would put money on Cooper Flag. What about you?
So I just looked it up. He is the odds favorite still. That plus 100 though. I would imagine that's probably moved a good bit.
Oh, yeah, I bet it was minus.
I actually think I remember it was minus. So my pick is not Cooper Flag, and I am being more excited with my pick. I alluded to it earlier in the episode. I'm going with Cedric Coward.
Nice.
He's at plus 4,500 right now. But we talked about him a little bit. I mean, it's not like I want to say they're starting him on the Grizzlies, and like he's averaging 16 points a game. I think they're playing him a lot of minutes too. I think they got him at like
they believe in the Cedric Coward thing. Yeah.
24 minutes a game. And so, yeah, he's honestly putting up somewhat similar numbers to Cooper, but the story alongside of it is much different. And I think the narrative is a big part of like what we've been talking about. Like, it's not like Cooper Flag is totally laying an egg. I mean, he's still putting up like 14 points a game. He's grabbing like 7 rebounds, and so it's not all bad. It's not all bleak. And I mean, he still is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year, but I just think it'd be more exciting, and I wanted to have a little bit more of an exciting pick. And I don't know, I really am just excited as far as like, if I think this will be a historic draft class. I don't know. Where do you sit on that?
I think a lot of these guys are going to play for a long time. I don't have predictions that it's going to be a 2003 or an 84.
Yeah.
But I do think this will probably be like a tier 2 draft class. Maybe closer to like the 2021, where it's like, I don't want to throw around the term generational, but a lot of these guys are anywhere between star and role player for like a full career. Like I think a lot of the guys that we talked about, especially the 6 that we talked about, will have long, healthy, good NBA careers, obviously injuries notwithstanding. So that's kind of where I stand. Like a tier 2 draft. I think it was a very solid draft. It was so deep. Like the fact that we're talking about like the 16th pick as like, hey, this guy like could reasonably get starting minutes is crazy.
Yeah, that's how it feels for me. Is it's going to be a deep one where maybe we might not have that generational guy or someone that it becomes bigger than basketball itself. But I think honestly, similar. Did you say 2021? Is that the year you referenced?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable. Where we could have a guy like Cade in a few years, like putting up the clear best player on his team, a clear all-star. So I don't know. We'll see.
People have higher hopes for Cooper than that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I think reasonably, we'll see.
Yeah, sometimes I just think like I'm gesturing a little bit here, but it feels like every maybe 3 to 4 years, 2 to 3 years around that time frame, there's one of those guys. Like it was Zion, it was Wemby, sure. It's Cooper, and then it feels like this upcoming draft class there isn't like a next guy up. Sure. There's a few guys that are. Yeah, I can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but I think like that's kind of the point. I feel like this time. 12 months ago, I would have been talking about Cooper Flag.
I think that's well said. All right, before we jump off, want a quick house update? I know it's been probably 2 weeks since we've got one. So what's your progress?
This is why people really watch.
Yes. Yeah. They're skipping ahead to hear your HGTV abilities.
Updates. Yeah. So I spent probably 2 hours this weekend. No. Well, okay. I spent 2 hours specifically with a shop vac up in the upstairs apartment, cleaning up just all of the debris from everything I've been doing. I think we talked last time. I had completely redone the electrical. I don't know if we were at the point where I was turning on the power last time, but I have the power turned on in the upstairs unit of the duplex. So it's now all of the outlets work, all the light switches work. That's all good. And most importantly, now I can plug things in and use them like tools. So I had the shop vac up there cleaning up all of there was insulation because I was up in the attic rewiring everything. So there was insulation that fell down and then I dragged it into every room somehow. So cleaning up all that, all the drywall dust that I've put up, it just gets everywhere. So anyways, yeah, probably like 2 hours of just using the shop vac, cleaning up everything. And then another 3.5, 4 hours of I had to clean out the entire fridge. So I made one of the stupidest mistakes I made in a while, and I was really upset with myself, to be honest. But when I turned off the electrical like 2 months ago, there was nothing in the fridge. It was totally empty.
Oh, okay.
So, right, you just think, oh, well, the electrical got turned off. I honestly didn't even think about it because it was clean. It was like spotless. And anyways, the electric hadn't been turned on for 2 months, so the fridge hadn't been turned on for 2 months. And when I went back to it, I opened the door and there's just like mold and like mold spores everywhere in there. So I think what happens is because the fridge was on and the air was cold, then when it goes back to room temperature, the water that's trapped in the air sort of that's the opposite of condenses. And anyway, so there ended up being water that stored all in it. It just mold spores everywhere.
I would not have guessed that. I wouldn't call that a stupid mistake. That's a honest mistake.
Yeah, but of course I call up my parents and I'm like, you're not gonna believe what I did. I talked to my dad. He's like, oh yeah, of course you should have aired it out. Why didn't you air it out? I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yes. Thank you, homeowner.
Looking back on it now, yeah,
long time homeowner.
So anyways, yeah, so that happened, and so I honestly spent 3 hours taking the entire fridge apart, cleaning every single component of it because I'm too stubborn to just buy a new fridge, which probably, when I start adding up the hours that I spent on it and everything, it probably almost would have been worth it. But nonetheless, I got it all cleaned up. And so now that's all good. So it's mainly, I'm in like a really satisfying phase of the home update where it's just a lot of cleaning up and making things look nice. For so long, it was breaking things, opening up walls, creating a mess. And now I'm finally putting all the puzzle pieces together and making something that looks nice.
Livable. Yeah.
So it's almost there. I'm having my sister and her family. So her husband and 4 kids are going to come stay with me for.
Oh, good tester.
It's going to be a great tester. So that's like the week of Thanksgiving. So Monday through Wednesday. And then I think we're going to go somewhere else for Thanksgiving Day. But so they'll be with me. And so I'm hoping that, they'll stay upstairs and it'll be nice and easy.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good deadline for you to finish stuff as well.
Definitely.
It's fun. All right. Thanks, Kyle. This was good.
Well, thank you.